Men of Reddit. Everyone always talks about the harmful effects of female beauty standards. What are some of the ways male beauty standards affect your life? What can we as women do to make sure the body positivity movement is for everybody? I'm a woman, but I saw an article about how the number of boys with eating disorders has gone way up since Instagram and superheroes became a thing. Because the men in those movies get so much attention for how ripped they are. Superhero actors in movies actually make those muscles so defined through very unhealthy eating habits during shoots. In everyday life, even people like the Hemsworths and Jason Momoa have a layer of fat on their muscles, because that's how the human body works. If a guy is skinny, it's almost always pointed out in some form or another. I have a great sense of humor and my friends and I roast each other all of the time. So it's that much more infuriating when it's like a co-worker or acquaintance that points it out with no context or joke attached, just something like how much do you weigh, or people see if they can put their fingers around your wrist. Crap like that. Women do it more often than men, and often when you bring it up they dismiss it, saying something like, hey, at least you're skinny. I'm so fat, blah blah blah. Because they're taught that being skinny is better than being fat. And men are taught being fat is better than being weak. I can't even count the number of times a woman has made a jab at my bald hair then played it off as a harmless joke. That includes I was going to make a bald joke but I figured that would be mean. You send the exact same message just saying that it's something that should be ridiculed. I'm comfortable with being bald at this point, and infinitely more comfortable than when my hairstyle was balding, but it always comes off as mean-spirited to me, and often negging. If you want to comment on my bald head, say something nice. I started going bald really early, really struggled with it for a bit, did the hat thing. At about 24 I started shaving it. Best thing I ever did. Now as I get much older, watching older men go through what I did is kind of funny. I always try to reassure them that it's okay, you'll get over it. I only date guys who are taller than 6'ft. Literally nothing men can do about that, and the double standard there is crazy. It's the equivalent of a guy saying I only date girls who are size 2. If the roles were reversed, they would be so much more upset about it. I hate that. Well, not so much beauty standards, but what sometimes bothers me is that male romance and sexuality is nearly never portrayed positively. It's nearly always aggressive, brutish even, like something that a man inflicts on women. There's always an association with violence or transgression. For me, this idea has kept me from approaching women for quite a while. What would they want with a guy like me? Why should I inflict myself upon them? But what probably doesn't help is that I'm a solid 0 on the Kinsey scale. I can't really fathom finding any man sexually attractive. On appearance, being able to grow a full, thick beard. I have a decent goatee, but anything on the sides of my jaw is a thin scruffy mess, and that makes me insecure sometimes. There needs to be more healthy and positive relationships displayed in the media. None of us get compliments, or at least not in a casual ways other than from assos. Tell a guy his face looks nice, or that he looks great in that outfit, or you like the way he did his hair. Just don't be afraid to give compliments. This is so true, not even just from SOS but also just in general. The effect a compliment from time to time can have on any given guy's self-esteem is astounding. I have long hair, I'd say down to the middle of my back. I always get teased for my hair, but honestly, until I grew out my hair, I was not a confident individual, but now I love how I look with my hair. Total flip in my self-image. Long hair gang wire? COVID-19 has shanghaied me into your gang. You're fabulous. Fabulous gang. I am a little chubby, but I don't feel particularly bad about that. I got the dad bod going on. No, what I feel bad about is body hair. I am a freakishly hairy dude. Head to toe. I can't help it, but most women say it is unattractive. I am also beginning to bald, as well, which makes me even more self-conscious about it. I'm a hairy balding guy and I've married a hottie. It's possible. I'm a bit chubby and socially awkward, so I mostly assume that even talking to someone at a bar or someplace would just be an annoyance to that person. I'm in this text and I don't like that. Wait, I used to be overweight and can say from my experience that people tend to be nicer if you are not overweight. Yep, I'd speculate that everyone does this unconsciously. Another major factor is the face. which becomes easier to read and has more clarity in its expression when weight is lost. That said, a lot of things change for the better when you get to a healthy physique. I once got teased at my high school swim carnival for having tiny nipples. Like, the rest of the package ain't too bad. I'm a decent looking guy, but what the heck? I don't even use my nipples. Please do not mock a fella for having tiny nipples. I am forever haunted. One of the better ones is just not bringing it up a bunch unless they talk to you about it. I think guys tend to be more quiet about how they feel about their physical appearance. So unless they bring it up, chances are they don't want to talk to you about it. I hope this makes sense. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm ugly, what's there to talk about? Approach the guy. Most men think they could never get the girl they want, so they never try. If women made an honest effort to approach the guy once in a while, it could help break some serious ice. Let's name the physical things the media makes fun of men on. 1. Height. 2. Baldness. 3. Penis size. 4. Weight. Dad bod. The first 3 things are completely out of men's control. The last one can be controlled for most, but at least all women's body types are now being accepted in the media. Rightfully so. There are female models now who are heavier, which is totally fine. I can't think of overweight male models. There may be, but can't think of it. Even with all of this, the psychological abuse that men go through their entire lives is even worse. You're not supposed to show emotions. WTF, man? Boys don't cry, don't be a PETC. Boys are told they can't be afraid. Girls are told to be afraid of everything. I find there is this standard that wanting to be stylish in dress has to conform to the preconceived idea of what a stylish masculine man should be. Otherwise your sexuality may be called into question. By accepting men as no less of men for going outside of the bounds of this preconceived idea, women may help change this static idea. My mom told me to not wear a pair of reddish, more like the color of wine, pants just because they look gay to her, and I'm straight AF. Honestly, for me, it's how restricting men's fashion is. Like, women's fashion is badass because the industry makes colorful clothing and different types of clothing the standard. I always talk about how men's fashion is so boring, like shirt, pants, shoes and optional accessories. Boo. Also, if men try to go outside of said box, they are looked down upon because it's the whole we live in a society and society doesn't like change type deal. Why is it wrong for me, a straight male, to wear a crop top? In terms of helping, I say just support your local Chad if he decides that he wants to get a pair of overalls or get something more colorful. This is so true. Whenever I go to a clothes store, the entire ground floor is dedicated to women's clothes. Men's clothes are upstairs, so I go up to find half of the floor is taken up by shoes and accessories. Another quarter is displaying the odd homeware item, and in the corner is a choice of a dozen shirts and jeans, 2 belts and a wallet. One of the belts are for women. I'm sick of it. When was the last time you saw a plus-sized male model in an advertisement? When was the last time you saw a plus-sized man unironically cast as the romantic lead in a movie? When was the last time you saw a plus-sized man cast in a flattering light in any movie? This reminds me of the Danny DeVito rule. Replace the attractive male lead in any romantic movie with Danny DeVito, and if the movie is still sweet, not creepy, then it's a good movie. Just goes to show how much conventionally attractive men can get away with. Society doesn't look the same way upon someone they consider conventionally unattractive. I feel like a subpar specimen of a man for not having big muscles and a six-pack and a receding hairline and a not 100% filled in beard. I have seen PPL give strange looks to my beard. It looks like Wolverine's sideburns on a face with a German mustache. Most male men Hollywood stars use steroids and have a team of dietitians, nutritionists, and personal chefs. With the MCU, that superhero body has become the norm. Ordinary people now think that is naturally achievable and sustainable. Zac Efron talks about it on his new Netflix show. Dude has a healthy average body now, but he speaks about how when he was doing movies he didn't eat carbs for 6 months and how he was in and out of the hospital because of his ripped body routine and diet. He went to rehab. I'm not sure for what, but heck, if I wasn't allowed to eat pizza or drink alcohol, then I'd probably be doing drugs too. The amount of times I've heard people, especially women, Say I want to work out but I don't want to get too big is staggering. Skinny guys get just as hung up about their weight as fat guys, but legit no one cares. Size, even being fat, equals strength, and strength is manly, so skinny guys already have enough issues with self-confidence and masculinity without being mocked for it. This can lead to bigorexia. Essential when guys start working out, they're unable to notice any progress because in their heads they're still the same pathetic skinny guy they're used to seeing in the mirror every day. Speaking from experience, it's pretty crappy being called skinny, scrawny, twig, bony, etc. while growing up. Nothing's off limits for men to be ridiculed about. Too short, somebody can make fun of you. Penis size, somebody can make fun of it. Too fat or too skinny, open for ridicule. Voice. We don't get to pick how deep our voices are, but it's a sign of manliness. I was bullied in school for having a high-pitched voice. It's now pretty deep, but either way, it's just another one of those things. I'm 6 feet tall and look like a bag of bones. You should eat more. Yeah, well, I eat so much in a day and can't gain any weight. I don't enjoy exercising aside from stretching or riding my bicycle. I've been getting these comments for as long as I can remember. Just freaking let me be. I feel fine the way I look. I'm only 15 and the constant stress of knowing that I fail as a man if I do not make enough money is very scary and caused me to start working at 13 while still doing school. I think that the financial stress as well as beauty standards are equal. The height requirement comes to mind. Even though I surpass the height standards, I don't understand why it's a thing. At one point I thought it was just a meme, but then I've had multiple females validate it. I don't have anything else because I have no idea what realistic beauty standards are for men. My perspective on why women tend to prefer men that are taller than them is that we are taught that we are more attractive if we are smaller, skinnier, more feminine, dainty, so being with a shorter man makes us self-conscious about being too big. This is totally unhealthy. I'm not defending it. Just some insight from a taller than average woman. For their entire lives, every man has heard women express disgust and mockery over balding men and short men. These are outside of our control, so it creates a massive amount of anxiety, depression, and confidence issues among men, especially since we can't do much about it. Even half the online dating profiles state that you must be a certain height and you must have a full head of hair. Look at Chris Pratt. He was Andy on Parks and Rec. Now he's fit and toned. You can do this too. Yes, I could, if my job paid me to do all the work to get that way before I showed up. Also fed me and gave me access to the resources without me spending my hard-earned on it. I have completed an Ironman, represented my country athletically, and do not have a six-pack or conventional beauty. Add to that the clothing versus lifestyle choice. Are you buying that because you need pants or because it makes you think of the woods and hiking? Men have to be 6'4" at LAST or CZMRT terse. 6 in chest, she says as she sits there. 5.1 It's stupid how dudes are judged by how their height or dong size. The amount of effort required for a male to upkeep typically portrayed visual muscle definition abs, pecs, defined arms, is akin to assuming that all females should have flat tummies, big boobs, and a round, toned butt. These standards are not unachievable, but the reality is most bodies upkeep easier with some things, and have natural flaws that prohibit simultaneous ideal upkeep of the whole package. And even if someone, male or female, dedicates many hours a week to maintaining their picturesque form, their only real options for doing so long term are unhealthy at best, life-threatening in worst-case scenarios. Body hair is a fun one. Women have been complaining about society's expectation for a bare human body from the eyebrows down for decades now, yet most men produce much more hair and are silently expected to conform to an arbitrary, constantly shifting definition of hygiene that includes bare chest, legs, and arms. Personally, I've always been blessed with a fairly athletic build. I have to work to keep any kind of weight resembling a gut. My weekly work routines translate pretty well into keeping an all-around shape. My experience with unrealistic male body expectations has always been more about appearing too thin or being too hairy. Body positivity should be about people being comfortable in their own skins. It's not about excusing or promoting unhealthy habits, making excuses for laziness or neglect, or even making people feel good about themselves in general. It's about setting realistic expectations for these meat suits we walk around in, and being proud of the effort we make to maintain our health and well-being. Like everything, anything you can't do anything about should go. Heath and dong size mostly. As far as beauty standards goes, I'm fine with the athletic image, but I wish they would tone down the shredness. Being single-digit body fat percent is a sign and unhealthy. I don't support any healthy at any size BS though. People shouldn't be fat shamed, but they absolutely shouldn't be encouraged or empowered either. I will not ask you to like short men as equally likeable as tall men because it simply is not for the majority. It's a fact. I simply ask that the mocking of short men should stop and should not be normalized. According to men's products commercial, men are supposed to have big muscles, sculpted facial features, and be expected to service other people, especially women, hence why men pay for dinners. I don't really know what we could do, other than letting women pay for their own stuff and not expect presents every other day. Height, athleticism, package size, mass, jawline, hair. Then again, body positivity starts with ourselves too. And women as well. We need to accept ourselves for who we are and how we look no matter what, before we find someone who appreciates it. Cause if you don't appreciate yourself first, then no one can. Look in that mirror and say, dang, you look sexy today. Crap, don't have to believe it at first, but eventually you will. Give yourself a smile and appreciate how gorgeous you look. Guys, it ain't weird to check yourself out a bit. Gals, don't compare yourselves. There is way more beauty in difference. Cause guess what? At the end of the day, guys and girls, you best believe that nobody can be a better you than yourself, so get to loving your fine asses, kings and queens. Much love, folks. I think the worst one personally is the double standard around fitness. For a guy to be considered attractive, they have to be in really good shape, which pretty much necessitates gym or some kind of diet and workout, especially as you get older. Whereas, from what I can tell, the expectation for women is a lot more lax, and if you aren't overweight you are considered attractive. If you are rich enough you are attractive. Place 2 ads on dating site. Same picture and general info. In one say you're a doctor and in one say you're a high school math teacher. See what happens. I'm a woman, but I notice that society, lots of women, and lots of men too, ignore and disregard that men have mental illnesses too. Society tells men to get over it or man up etc etc. If these phrases were told to a woman, the world would go ballistic. It's sad to see as a woman with anxiety, how awful men are treated when they speak out about their experiences with mental illnesses. When I know how difficult it is dealing with it day to day. Society in general, we need to stop shaming these men. We need to show men who suffer from mental illnesses support and love too, just as lots of women do. We need to destigmatize men having mental illnesses. Till about the great male renunciation at the end of the 18th century, where men stopped wearing ostentatious, colorful clothing in favor of evening suits. Frick that. Why are men expected to be stoic and unemotional? It's life denying. We have progressed beyond that in the 21st century. We need to bring colorful back. I mostly wear dark colored clothing myself. It's because 1. I wear functional long-lasting clothing and want it to match with my whole wardrobe, and 2. There are few cheap, colorful options for men. Here is one. Don't touch us either if we work together. I go to the gym and you tell that I'm in shape. I often get women stroking my arms and back, and I have said it multiple times not to touch me. It is not professional in working environment and it has caused embarrassing situations. On one occasion, while I sat at my desk trying to figure out a problem, I was about an hour or so at this and a co-worker sat on the arm of my chair and put her arm around my neck. At times throughout this she began to massage my neck. This was one of the most awkward situations I have been in. I apologize if this isn't the right place for this. I have a slightly above average penis, 7 inches hard, but when I'm not aroused it's very small, like 1-2 inches. The amount of women that have judged me on inoculated appearance is sad. You'd think they would understand basic anatomy, but they don't, or they taunt me for my small penis. The ones that stick around are always surprised, but it shouldn't be a surprise. Women should know that men come in all shapes and sizes and our members can grow astronomically. Some guys don't though, and some guys don't grow much from a flaccid state, but I feel like this is something women should be educated on. I used to have a six-pack when I was in my 20s. These days I'm more dad bod. Waking into the gym makes me feel naked and exposed, so I don't go as much as I should and I hate it. People rave about the pale pretty boy Asians with perfectly chiseled abs. I know I'm probably not that bad looking and have a pretty okay physique, but man, those idols are something else. Makes me feel a little ugh inside whenever someone dies over those guys on their Insta stories or something, lol. As a male, I would be content in simply getting a compliment. I'm not ugly, nor perfect, but people are so afraid to just walk up and say something as simple as that haircut looks good on you. I end up feeling like I'm not worthy of the dating market. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you had in mind for this post, but it's something that I think has affected me and my life quite a bit. I am South Asian, or Indian if you will. My family's not from India, they're from Malaysia, and I was born in America, so I'm actually Malaysian American. But everyone considers me to be Indian because I look Indian. My whole life I've been told that any girl who wasn't Indian would never even consider dating me, because to them I was ugly and repulsive. I've been told by numerous people to date within my own race, and while I didn't have any problem with dating someone from my own ethnicity, I still hated the idea that being Indian automatically meant that I didn't live up to any non-Indian person's beauty standards. This made me start to hate my appearance and become really insecure about myself. Eventually, the first girl who actually really did like me ended up being white, but it took me a long time to realize that she was genuinely attracted to me because I had such low self-esteem and sincerely believed that no girl would ever like me that way. All the shows I liked to watch as a kid never had any Indian people in it, and it made me come to the ridiculous conclusion that being an Indian guy simply means that you're not beautiful. Standards for building visual muscle is harder for some than for others. I've been working out for the past 6 months and nothing in my physique has changed in terms of appearance, even though I have been able to do 10-15 more pounds dumbbells than when I started. Some guys have super dense muscles. Some guys have more inflated ones. As long as they are natural, they should be treated equally. I agree. You need to look at diet. I have alopecia, which means my body's immune system rejects my hair. In my case it's mostly patchy areas on the scalp, beard, and eyebrows. I gotta be honest, if I were a girl I'd throw on eyebrow makeup and no one would bat an eye, but I'm a guy who has to put on eyebrow makeup every day, otherwise I look like a clown. People make comments, disparage me, and very obviously judge me for it. It's brutal. The worst part is, they'd judge me be less attracted to me if I didn't wear the makeup. It's a lose-lose, 100% because I happen to be a man. I really think the most realistic thing that you can do as a woman is to stop going for the easy jokes targeted at men's bodies, and call out your friends when they do it. There are a lot of shithead guys out there, and they deserve to get pilloried, but there are ways to do that don't involve shaming someone's physical features. The whole compensating for something shtick is getting tiring, tbh. A supermajority of men have experienced penis size anxiety in their lifetimes. It's incredibly dehumanizing, putting someone's worth and humanity into an element of themselves they have literally zero control over. And it's present at the heart of even the most progressive movements right now. Racism is small dong energy signs. Anyone. Penis size is just one example. It seems that every element of a man's body, musculature, height, hair, head, face, and body, shoe size, even the pitch of his voice is all grounds for ridicule. And I hear it constantly from women who are ostensibly progressive, enlightened feminists. The strange thing is that when I point this out to them, they almost always acknowledge it and make some kind of cursory effort to improve at it. That's a good thing. But if anything, it's just further evidence that the shaming and ridiculing of men's bodies is so pervasive that even the most progressive people amongst us don't see it as a problem. This metaphor is the only thing that's coming to mind right now because it's 6 AM for me and I'm working on around 4 hours of sleep. But it's like when someone points out to you that the position of Isaac's health bar in the Dead Space games makes absolutely zero sense. Obviously it being on the back of his suit is for player convenience, but it's so well implemented that it normally takes someone pointing it out to you before you go, actually yeah, that makes zero goddamn sense. How would he monitor it? It's such an ingrained aspect of the series that even though it's completely indefensible in world context and kind of hard to ignore once you've noticed it, it takes someone pointing it out to you to notice it at all. That's the best clunky metaphor I can come up with for this. It's so deeply ingrained in our psyches that men's bodies are valid targets that even the most progressive amongst us are guilty of indulging in attacks on it. The idea that we have to be shredded or super skinny. I didn't used to have problems with my body. The best way to describe myself is husky. I've got a lot of muscle but it's not very defined. I also have large thighs and a bit of a stomach, and after constantly being told that I'm fat I have developed bulimia nervosa, which is very damaging. It's an eating disorder and I guarantee I wouldn't have had it if I wasn't constantly compared to Hollywood superheroes. And no matter how much weight I can lift, if my arms aren't as defined as Thor's, then I'm fat. For me it's the jawline. Always seeing male models having chiseled jawlines just makes me self-conscious about mine. I'm always just staring at it in the mirror and hating it. Oh, and abs. Like I'm okay torso-wise, but to get abs you have to have a fairly disciplined diet that just isn't possible for everyone. I feel like I go without eating sometimes just to get rid of the fat under my chin and my little belly chub. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.